Hey everybody, it's Hannah, and I'm going to show you how to do this two-point perspective exercise. So I've got all the tools I need, I think, pretty sure. I've got my photo reference printed out and taped to the corner of my drawing paper. I've taped it down because I realized that if I'm just freehanding it and I rotate the page, which is, every time I pick it up, it's going to be oriented slightly differently. I'm not going to get accurate measurements. So I taped it down to make sure that I reference all of my proportions off of this, since it's nice and fixed. So I got that taped there. I've got my ruler, I have my eraser, I have my pencil sharpener, and I've got two pencils that I'm gonna start with the 2H because that is as the harder pencil produces a finer line, which is good for some light sketching. And then I may go over some of those lines with an HB, which is a good medium level. And then after that, I can probably approach some of the darker lines with a softer B range pencil. But for now, I'm just going to work with my 2H. Okay, so first thing you want to start with is get one line down. I am going to measure it at about 3 inches because that will allow for a lot of space in hopefully fitting both of my vanishing points in here. So this is very different from our first 1-point perspective assignment because not only do we have 2 vanishing points now, but also we are using a photographic reference. And when you are using a photographic reference, you are going about the process of drawing in perspective kind of backwards from what we had learned in lesson 1. So in lesson 1, doing 1-point perspective, we establish the horizon line and the vanishing point, and then we create these imaginary objects that follow the rules of that singular vanishing point. However, when we are using a photo reference on something, we are kind of deconstructing that object rather than finding the vanishing points first to construct our object. Our object is already there. It's already here in the photo. We then have to analyze the parts of this object and then determine where the vanishing points are. If you are just going off of sight, you can probably locate where these are at. The hard part is getting them to fit on your page. Because another thing that is very different when drawing perspective from life is that your horizon line is not always going to be visible to you or be in your reference material. And when creating your vanishing point, usually the vanishing points are going to be way off, especially in 2-point perspective. They're going to be way out there, like far away from the object that you're drawing, so they might not fit on your paper. I think if I keep this around this size, I should be able to fit both of the vanishing points on here, but we'll just have to find out. Okay, so I have my one vertical line, and that is this line right here it is the edge of the cage that is closest to me. And I apologize if you can't see the photo very well, but I'll do my best to get my shadow out of the way. Okay, so I am going to use my ruler to line up to the top of the cage on this, on this side. And that should be the correct angle. So I'm not measuring the length, I'm just determining the tilt of that edge. And so actually it doesn't hurt to double check. So I usually go over these a couple times just to make sure I have the right thing. So I'm gonna bring this line out as far as I can. And then hopefully I'll be able to get my other vanishing point in there too. So I'm gonna line up. Oh, another thing you may notice with the reference photos is that some of the, since this is an actual object, not an imaginary one, it has, it's not perfectly straight. It's an old wire cage. It's kind of bent out of shape. So do your best when trying to line up with these edges. I recommend just lining up your ruler or pencil along from corner to corner. So as long as the corners are lined up and you can find the shortest path through that. So that should be about right. Yeah, it looks like my vanishing point over here is going to be off the paper, but that's okay. I still have plenty of room to work with over here. And now I'm going to do the other side of the cage. Oops, kind of wobbled there. Try that again. And now this top part. Cool. It looks like, so I've got one of my vanishing points, which is good. It's like right on the edge of the paper. So that is right here. And then I can give, kind of want to guess where this other one is at. So it goes right off the edge here. So it should be right around here. And get my bigger ruler. Try to line these up. Just the horizon line isn't super important here, but I'm just gonna do my best. That looks about right. Okay, so I have this figured out. Great. Now, how do I figure out how long do I make the sides of this cage? Because you need to make sure they're proportionate, right? So here, let me get my bigger photo reference here. So I printed off two, just for the sake of the demonstration. I recommend getting a small print so you can just tape it to your drawing board or your workstation, just so it's a lot easier to make references this way. But anyway, so I am going to find the size of these sides of the cage by measuring. So I measured the angles of the edges here, right? Or determine the angles of these edges. Now I'm going to determine the angular relationship. I'm going to use triangulation to kind of crisscross both of these ways. So because I have these 2 points, I can find these 2 points. So I will measure from this corner to this corner. So bottom to its opposite. Yeah, I'm going to use my ruler. So I'm going to do that on my tiny reference. And remember, if you're not sure, just do it again. So you can get your most accurate measurement. I'm just going to slide this over, line it up with that corner, make my mark. Okay, there's one. So I have located 1 point. Now I'm going to crisscross in the other direction. So from this corner to this corner. Let's see what that looks like. I think I'm a little bit off. I'm going to try that one more time. Yeah, I fell a little bit short. It's okay. It's always a process of kind of self-correcting. When you're first starting with this, you're not really sure what you're looking for in terms of how do I make this look right? But with experience, that'll become more evident. Just trying to get. Okay, I think this should be right. And if I line these 2 up, that still does not look right. Let's see, try again. maybe it's the other one that I have wrong. Aha, yes. Okay, so I was a little bit off. So let's back up. So this here and here. All right, now that I have this corner, figuring out how to make the top is easy. And since I have this vanishing point, I'm just going to connect this corner to this vanishing point. Great. And now, since this one is off the other vanishing point is off the page, I'm going to have to do the crisscross thing again. So I'm going to start with this corner to this corner. And then the other two. Let's see how that looks. That does not look right. That looks a little skewed. I'm going to try once more. Okay, that's not so bad. I was hesitating because it didn't look right, but now that I've made the line, so let this be part of the lesson. If you're not sure, if you're hesitating, just make the mark. You can't judge how accurate it looks until it's on the paper. You can't make any edits if there's nothing there. So just if you're not sure, just go for it. You can always erase it. Okay, so now I can go from, well, let's see. This is going to be, this edge here is going to be pretty close to parallel with this one. But I think what I'd rather do, I'm going to check from this corner to this corner so I can figure out where that other edge is. That should be about right. Actually, no, that's not right. What happened? Try one more time. There we go. That looks better. So yeah, always double and sometimes triple checking just to make sure. There we go. That's better. Okay. So now that I kind of have this, the basic outline done, I'm gonna go in with my my HB, kind of darken some of these areas a little bit. Actually, I think I'm gonna switch to a softer pencil. The HB is actually a bit too hard for this. I'm gonna let's do a nice, comfy 2B. Nice. Yeah, nice dark line. Okay. You'll notice that, like on the top plane, especially when it's so diminished like this, it's kind of hard to find where this top corner is. The shift in angle is almost indistinguishable. So just be conscious of that when you're trying to find. It helps if you kind of make the two lines intersect, and then you can just kind of erase the leftovers. I've also got this really great little pencil tip eraser that has like a little brushy on the end. So this is great for erasing more detailed areas. Here. All right. So we have the thing, the cage. Actually, I think this is slanted out a little bit too much. I'm just gonna fudge it. Do this. Actually, no, not that. Do this. There. That looks better. If you're measuring and it just does not look right, I say you're the artist. You you have the power to make those changes. So, all right. So I got my box. What else am I going to add to this composition? Well, I think I'll add. Let's see. I can add that line in the concrete. So that runs. It's pretty much parallel. So the edge of the concrete runs right along here, and it's not perfectly parallel with this edge of the cage, but just for simplicity's sake, we can just call it completely parallel. And so I'm just kind of wiggling my ruler around, just going to try to figure out the best distance for this. And I'm going to go back in and just make this mark with my 2H in case I change my mind. And then there's another line in the concrete. I'm going to the space between two slabs of concrete. I'm just going to follow that angle. And it lines up around the center. Let's see. Actually, not quite with the center. It's more to the side. So, and again, these marks are fluid. That's why I use them in, why I make them in such light pencil, because I'm anticipating that I'm going to change these. I'm just kind of eyeballing it right now just to get something on the paper. And then I can always make changes, double check my measurements, and, adjust. So anyway, so I'm kind of building my composition around this. I'm going to add in, I guess now that we have this box done and some of these other fundamentals, we can start breaking down the cage into its individual wire segments. So this face here is divided into thirds. And then this one here has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 vertical lines subsecting it. Well, this is just going to be another case of, angular relationships, triangulation. So I'm going to show you on my big one. I'm going to corner here to corner there, and corner here to corner there. Let me move my hand. So here to here, and here to here, here to here, and here to here, and here to here, and here to here. So basically going to be doing the same thing. And the more lines you get on the paper, the easier it will be for you to make all of these individual marks. Think of it as the more lines you have on your paper, the more points of reference you have to measure accurately. So it's hard starting out because you're just kind of like, you've got nothing on your paper. It's kind of hard to know where to start. But once the more things start falling into place, it will kind of build momentum, so to speak. So anyway, I'm going to see, that's not. So I had to double check that one a couple times. Okay. I think this line in the concrete lines up with the other third here, but I just gotta be sure. All right, so there's my 3 here. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So to make this easier, I'm going to subdivide this into, let's see, centimeters. So I need to make 12 marks. And I have 8 centimeters. So I'm going to mark this at 4, halfway point. And then I'll just do 4, 2, 4, and 6. So I've got gonna start that over. I'm going to erase some of these marks out just so they don't confuse me. I know I want you to show your work as much as you can, but sometimes it can get really hairy when you've got like a lot of measurement marks, so it doesn't hurt to clean them up while you're working. And still obviously see, like, I can, even with them erased, I can still see, like, if this was a student drawing, I can see that there's plenty of measuring and work being done, so as long as I can see that. So I have measured, since this is 3 inches tall, I made one mark for every 1/4 inch. So that gives me 12 bars. And I am just going to run these across. I'm going to start with this one because each line is just going to go straight to the vanishing point. Cool. Looking good. And I cannot count how many bars are running across the top, but I'm just gonna give it a good old guess. And since I don't have the other vanishing point on my paper, I'm just going to do my best to keep this ruler steady. Oh, already losing it. I will try again. Let's start from the bottom. All right. So these are just the sides of the cage that are facing us, and there's still, I mean, it's see-through, so I'm going to be able to see this other bottom part of the cage. So I'm just going to connect this corner to the vanishing point to figure out where that is. And then this corner is going to connect straight down to it. There we go. So from this corner down here, there's the far corner of the cage. As long as that's established, I'm not going to be marking in the other bars just because it will get way too confusing, especially at the size that we are working. This is about as much detail as is appropriate for this size paper. Cool. So now that I have some kind of 3D space suggested inside of the cage, well, first of all, there's a couple of sticks in the cage, and they go from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rungs up. One stick is here, and then it goes, let's see. So I'm using this like a grid. So I'm looking, let's see, this is to third column. 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth row down. 1, 2, third column. 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth row down. And so that stick is going to go from here to here. So there's one stick. And I'm just going to go over that with my 2B pencil just to make it stand out a little bit better. And then I've got 4 up around the middle here, and then this goes right around here. And then I can draw some birds. I'm not going to draw them in a huge amount of detail. They're just going to be these little round friends. And don't worry, I've got more photos of these guys that we can work off of, just not for this unit. So you'll get a chance to draw some highly detailed birdies. Now I guess I can kind of fill out the rest of the composition, huh? I'm gonna get an even darker pencil. We're just gonna go straight up with the 6B. I just kind of want to see how this looks. Very dark. And you don't have to shade these at all. The exercise is just to make sure you can construct the lines and measure. That's the hard part. And I guess I can draw that shadow in there too. So we've got, see, that intersects around here. That's about right. And they've got another shadow kind of coming down this way. And I'm not like filling in the shadows, I'm just showing where they fall. And so if you're working on a composition, you can use things like not just the object itself. Like, for example, I could triangulate with this line in the concrete here. I can determine proportion and measurement of this cage by looking at its shadow, etc. So try to use all parts of the composition as your ally in determining the placement of things. So that's the assignment. So you're doing two of these, and I have just done one. I would show you another one, but that would make this video like an hour long, so I'm not going to do that. Hopefully this was very informative to you, and I think that by kind of figuring out how to draw these grid lines, it will give you a much easier time of drawing your cityscape for your assignment for this module. So good luck with this exercise. Good luck with your assignment, and I will see you and your work on the discussion board.